Welcome, everybody, to the Monday night Bible study on the Lily of Valley Telegram channel. Every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time with a special guest, Bro.Rick. And we are in the book of Genesis. I think tonight we left off with Genesis 2, verse 9, so we're going to pick it up in Genesis 2, verse 10. So how you doing, Bro.Rick? You ready to get started?
Doing fine. I hope everybody else is. I'm ready to roll, I guess.
All right, very good. See, I think I've got where we can read verse 10. It goes, "And a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted and became into 4 heads." Do we know where this area is now, by the way?
It's according to who you consider authoritative. A couple of the rivers are supposedly known because Daniel references, for example, one of the words that they'll use later on, Hiddekel, I believe it's pronounced, something like that. And from basically what was stated there, that would be the Tigris. There are other rivers like the Euphrates that would be spoken of, and etc. But these words, like for example, the Euphrates, that's translated Euphrates in your Bible there in verse 14, for example, it's not Euphrates in the Hebrew. It's Perath, I believe is the way it's pronounced. And so, bottom line is, I'm not sure that you really can. Reason being is because so much destruction potentially has happened on certain areas of the earth. You've got since this Garden of Eden scenario, you've had obviously a major flood in much of the earth. You've also had the events that apparently is around the ideas of Peleg. If the dividing of the land it speaks of around his time is speaking of the continent splitting apart or what have you, if that's what that means. And so I'm not really sure, but you do have certain passages, certain ones that seem to be mentioned secondarily locations at times. So at least a couple of these rivers apparently are right there in the Middle East. That's the best I can give you. And I've got a couple of different sources here that I looked at just for that subject, and some of them said, no, you can't figure this out. It's speculation, and then others said, well, there's 2 of these that are definitely known. And so, but that, I guess that depends on how much confidence you put in Daniel chapter 10, verse 4, for example, which deals with that Hiddekel being the Tigris. Why do I say that? Well, because there are those who believe that the book of Daniel was written, not long back. Let's say it that way. It's not as old as what some claim. So written during probably some claim during the probably the time when Greece was basically falling and Rome was about to take over. That's when some claim the book of Daniel was written. I believe it was written back around around 500 BC or so, when before they ever left Babylon. So between 600 and 500 BC, somewhere in there. But yeah. So no, that answer is no. I'm not 100% positive that you can, but there are a couple of points in this text description through 10 through 14 that it may very well be still pointing at the Tigris and Euphrates. So yeah.
Well, I find it interesting. Bullinger here says river equals the Persian Gulf, known as such to the Akkadians, in which the river became 4 mouths or heads at spots where they flowed into the source, which received and fed them.
Yeah.
So
you have a situation there. I think what he's pointing at is something like what you see. Perhaps some of you may be familiar with how the Mississippi splits up near its end, before it enters the Gulf, or like the Nile River has numerous split offs before it enters the Mediterranean. And so I'm thinking he is saying that one of the main rivers over there has several split off areas, split off branches that enter into the the Gulf there. So I'm not sure if that's what he's talking about or not. But again, go back to what others had said. This Hiddekel is mentioned by Daniel, and it is definitely talking about the Tigris in his context. And so,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, then verse 11, it says, the name of the first is Pison, that is it which compasseth the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold. Okay,
Yes.
Pison, the river, west of the Euphrates, called Palucat, and reign of Nabonidus, the last king of Babylonia, or Palacopas Canal. Shall I read the rest of it, or do you want to comment on what we've got so far?
Other than what I've already said, I don't know really which, I can't really say one way or the other if any of these people are right. You can just read numerous opinions, and sorry, but I don't know what to tell you other than what I've mentioned. It seems like there are couple of them that may be defendable, as the Tigris and Euphrates, but the other two I'm not really sure of. And the area, we'll get into some of the other things too. This what was the word Havilah? It just basically means something like the region of sand, uh, and somehow it's connected with Ophir, I believe it is. So where there is gold, if you remember the mention about the gold of Ophir, I believe it is something like this. So there are a couple of secondary witnesses that would suggest these particular areas, but
Mm-hmm.
like I said, you got to go back to a time, uh, previous to the flood and previous to the events of Peleg. So I'm just not sure what to say on it.
Okay, well, he says, compasseth the Palucat or Pison encircled the north borders of the great sandy desert, which stretched westward to the mountain chains of Midian and Sinai. And it
Mm-hmm.
says Havilah, the region of sand, indicated in Genesis 25:18 and 1 Samuel 15:7. Let's take a look at those. I think I put them down on the outline. You want to go ahead and read those and see what?
25:18, and they dwelt from Havilah unto Shur, that is before Egypt, as thou goest toward Assyria, as he died in the presence of all his brethren. And 1 Samuel 15:5, and Saul smote the Amalekites from Havilah until thou comest to Shur. This is over against Egypt. And was 1029 on that list already, or is that another? That's another spot, isn't it?
Yeah, it says Shur would be the east end of Havilah, the west of this region, connected with Ophir in
Yeah,
1029.
yeah, and in 2029 you got Ophir and Havilah and uh, Jobab. All these were the sons of Joktan. Yeah. So
So
these are
Jock,
people who are territories are being named after
yeah, and
sometimes.
do you recall where Jokta, who he descends from?
I do not. Let
Would that be Japheth, or is that
me
before
see.
the?
Let me see. Go to 1029, and I will see maybe right quick. Of Ophir and Obed, and Ophir and Obed, and all these were the sons of Joktan. Joktan, he will be made little. Joktan, an Arabian patriarch. Joktan. Let's see. Joktan beget. Let me see if I can find out who his brother's name was. Joktan. Yeah, unto Eber were born two sons. Eber, the name of two patriarchs and four Israelites. Heber. This is probably where you get Hebrew. Uh, and Arphaxad begat Selah, and Selah begat Eber, and unto Eber were born two sons. The name of one was Peleg, For in his days was the earth divided, and his brother's name was Joktan.
Okay.
So that's Joktan is a descendant of a son of Heber. Or Eber.
Okay, yeah, so they're Hebrews then.
Yeah.
Okay. And verse 12, and the gold of that land is good. There is bdellium and the onyx stone. And Bullinger's commentary says onyx, Hebrew shoham, identified with Asher Samtu from that region. Assyria, right?
Yeah.
Assyria.
And the word is defined, shoham in your Strong's, from an unused root, probably meaning to blanch. It is a gem, probably the beryl, B-E-R-Y-L, from its pale green color, onyx. Now, if I'm not mistaken, there's also an onyx stone that is black, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
I thought it was
like,
too, actually.
looks like a shiny piece of coal or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Verse 13, and the name of the second river is Gihon. The same is it that compasseth the whole land of Ethiopia. And then over on the commentary, Bullinger says Gihon, the river east of the Tigris, the modern Kurha, an ancient Coaspes rising in the mountains of the Kassi. Kas has been confused with the Hebrew Cush. It is not the African Cush or Ethiopia, but the Akkadian Kas. That's interesting. What do you make of that?
Well, so you have a statement there in your scriptures that it is related to Ethiopia. And that word there, of course, is not Ethiopia. That word is Cush. What he's actually saying then is that this Cush would not have been Cush, but Cas. The original Hebrew somehow had been altered, is what it looks like what he's suggesting to me. But I would say this: Ethiopia, based upon what I've read in other places, including like the two Babylons, even talks about it a little bit. But of course, the word Ethiopia is, or the place Ethiopia that we know of today as Ethiopia, is not the Ethiopia of your Bible necessarily, except for this idea that I've only found in the two Babylons per se, but Cushite territory included all of northern Africa and extended almost into regions near to the west of India. So even into areas like Afghanistan, Pakistan, and such, and included like Iraq and Iran and things of this nature. And of course, including Saudi Arabia. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but I just want to emphasize that it's not just the place called Ethiopia that we know of today. And keep in mind the people who built. So Nimrod is a descendant of, or actually is, Cush, which is a descendant of Ham, a son of Ham. And so the whole idea of building the Tower of Babel and such came from that gene pool, Cushites or Hamites. So I don't remember if Cush is who became Nimrod or if he is Nimrod. I don't rightly remember off the top of my head. It might have been one of his sons. I don't know. But that's kind of related, and that's part of the relationship there. And so to me, the linkage to Ethiopia would still be valid. So it would contradict, I think it would contradict what Bullinger is saying there, though. But I think you'll find plenty of others, commentators and such, do definitely link it to Cush and Ethiopia. And I don't see a real issue why it would contradict if Cush descendants, which is Ethiopian descendants, Hamitic descendants, did control certain areas, and we've got evidence that they did control part of that area, Shinar and such, where the Tower of Babel was built. So I don't know.
Just for a little bit of background, these Ham and Eber and Japheth, they were the sons of Noah, were they not? This would be like after the
So yeah,
flood.
so Shem is producing Eber, Shem,
Okay.
one of Noah's sons, and Ham, and therefore Cush and such. These are descendants of Noah as well. Yeah. So, um,
So
but
Shem is where we get the Shemitic from, which was where
right.
the Israelites descended from. But Ham was where your um, basically your serpent's seed line kind of got mixed in there with his line. And
Well,
then,
I've shared this idea before, and my idea is that ultimately, because of the providence of Yahweh and His plan being fulfilled, my contention is that practically all of your Hamitic, if not all of your Hamitic line, and I contend also probably most of your Japhetic line uh, of whites are no longer white. They are either miscegenated or dead, killed out. And the only line that does continue is the promised lineage line, and that are white. Uh, but yeah, I think I'll just leave it at that. We've talked about it before, but in a little more details to it. But that's my position. So at this day and at this time, I mean, you even have Asher. Asher is a that's he mentioned Assyria a while ago. This is Asher. This is I think it's the second son of Shem. But yet you see, because he wasn't the first son of Shem, you see what ends up happening. He's still not of the chosen uh, line that develops ultimately into Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. And you see that Assyria, however, was used to punish Israel. The Assyrian captivity. And yet these people were basically, ultimately, many of them were wiped out. And if you go over there today, many of what's left of what would classify themselves as Assyrian descendants or something, most of them are amalgamated or miscegenated to some degree. And so these lines, I think history proves what I said is the case. Most of them get amalgamated or miscegenated out of existence. And yeah, that's kind of what following the laws of Yahweh ends up saying, that only the remnant are going to be the ones he's writing to in the first place. And, if your genetic stock has been corrupted back down the line somewhere, then if you're a mongrel, you're not welcome in his congregation, and you're counted as an abomination in other passages and things of this nature. So what are we supposed to do? You see, so Bible is an exclusively written book.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to make that distinction because the Cush, you had said, comes from Ham, but this passage right here in 13 isn't necessarily talking about the African Cush, but Cass. Okay, so I just
Yeah.
want to get a little bit of perspective there.
Yeah, if Bullinger is correct, I don't know where it leads to. I don't know where the Cass issue leads to. But that's why I say I'm not sure why he would want to bring that up, because if Ethiopia applies to Cush, and as I think other histories in your Bible leads to, then I don't see why he would want to object to the Cush issue, and I don't know where his Cass issue leads to. But anyway, yeah.
Okay, well, let's go on to verse 14. And the name of the third river is Hiddekel, that is it which goeth toward the east of Assyria, and the fourth river is Euphrates. Okay, we got quite a bit of commentary here where it says Hiddekel, Akkadian for the Tigris, which was, I don't know how to pronounce this, Idikla or Idiklat, which means the encircling. Assyria, Hebrew, Hashur or Asher. This is not Assyria, but the city of Asher, the primitive capital of Assyria, which lay east and west of the Tigris. And then the Euphrates, which is Bethroth. The Greek Euphrates comes from the Old Persian Euphratu, and this from Parat or Paratu, equals the river, sometimes Pura Nun, the great river.
Mm-hmm. You good on them words, girl.
I don't know. Tongue twisters. So is there anything significant there we need to maybe take note of for me?
Other than what I mentioned earlier in the little discussion there, that the uh, the Assyria here it does relate to Asher, the second son of Shem, and so these are white folks. uh,
Very good.
yeah, the descendants of the descendants and the country occupied by them. It says as well. This particular word Asher, which is translated here Assyria, and I think he made mention of it there that he doesn't think this is all of Assyria, but it is a particular town there, Asher, the name of Asher, and it probably relates to some of the description of how the lay of the land and where the river was is involved. But yeah. He may very well be right about that. East of Asher instead of all of Assyria, he would be referring to Asher itself, the town.
Yeah, well, I think it's pretty significant that a lot of these places, these rivers and things, are named after the white people. That's
Yeah,
pretty neat.
yeah,
Okay, so verse 15. And Yahweh took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden. Am I in the right place? Yeah.
yes.
Put him in the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it.
Yeah, that word, the man, is ha Adam. Some people translate the man Adam actually, which would be kind of redundant. Uh, Remember what we've talked about before. In your Bible, uh, at least in many instances, we'll say it that way, there is a particular word that is translated as man or the man, and it is Adam. It's the same. It's the term that is also used as a proper noun for the individual we call Adam. And so you keep in mind that Adam, the white man, remember what his name means. Adam means. Adam means to show blood in the face, to blush rosy red, things of this nature, ruddy, etc. Well, this is the individual that is the chosen line. He's the line that has dominion mandate rights given to him, as we read over in Genesis chapter 1, 26 and 28. This is and then we've talked about how the Bible is structured. You go to the beginning of the book promises the dominion mandate of total earth, and then you go to the end of your Bible over there in Book of Revelation, and it occurs. So who do you think is going to have the total dominion of this world? Who's going to have the only one world government that your Bible really speaks of? Who's going to be in charge? Well, the remnant of the chosen lineage of this line of Adam, the man, the man. uh, it's important when your Bible's talking about man and he's using this word Adam. It it's not talking about a black fella or a Chinaman or a Hottentot, pygmies. It's not talking about them. And the dominion mandate doesn't belong to them either. That's why I say, when you start understanding these terms and understanding how they're being used in your Bible, the racial element of your Bible is on practically every page of your Bible, and that's why I say it, because you can't just make this word, the man, H120 in this verse 215, apply to just anything that walks and talks and has the capacity to communicate with you. Just because they're black guy or yellow guy or what have you, that or short black dude has a pygmy or whatever, it doesn't apply to them. You can't make it apply to them. You're altering the definition. So yeah.
Yes, so Bullinger says here that this word, the man, is Hebrew eth ha-adam, meaning this same man, Adam. I guess
Mm-hmm.
meaning the same man that we read before in, like you said, 126 and 2:7. But it also says, see Appendix 14. So I'm going to go there for a minute, 14I, and see what it says about that. 14I, Adam denotes his origin as being made from the dust of the Adama, or ground. Is that all of it? Yeah. And there's other words here that are used to translated as man, like Ish and Enosh and Geber.
Right.
But here it's specifically talking about Adam.
That's correct.
Okay.
And keep in mind, these different terms are used in particular places. That doesn't mean when you talk about a what was one of the terms there? The G. What's the word that starts with a G there?
Geber
What?
has respect to his strength, a mighty man.
Right. That's correct. And so that doesn't eliminate Adamites from being called by that term. But so he'd be if you wanted to be more specific, he'd be an Adamite Geber, strong man, a strong Edomite, or strong Adamite, I should say. So he would be an Adamite that's strong, or big man type of fellow. You could easily argue it that way, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that word Geber is used a lot when in Genesis 6, where it talks about some of the giants over there, referred to them as Geber.
That's right, because they're referring to the size. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, the strength and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now this verse 15 has a lot of some references also that you see, Bullinger says keep safe, preserve. The same Hebrew as 3:24, 17, and 9. If you want to read those and maybe comment. And then 18 and 19.
So 3:24. So he drove out the man, and he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubim and a flaming sword which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life. So he's basically, I believe he's turning you to the some passages that uses the phrase the man, likely. Let me see. Was that the only one? Let me see what he said.
No, there was also verse 17.
17:9, and Yahweh said unto Abraham, Thou shalt keep my covenant, therefore, thou and thy seed after thee in their generations. Verse 10, This is my covenant, which ye shall keep between me and you and thy seed after thee. Every man, child, among you shall be circumcised. So that probably every man is probably the same thing as the man. Let me see if
Adam.
I can. 17:10. Let me pull that up right quick and see what that Hebrew word is there. Nope. Let's see what he's pointing at. See, 3:10. I don't see what he's pointing at for 30. See,
I'll just let everybody know at the end of the hour, we're going to open it up for questions and comments and things.
Let me look at his notes. Why did he point you to these passages? 17, 3:24, 17. Keep safe, preserve. Okay, yeah, keep safe and preserve. That's same Hebrew as, yeah. So it's not the man he's pointing at. It is turn everyone to keep the way, to keep the way in verse 3:24, and then thou shalt keep my covenant. That's what he's pointing at, and which ye shall keep between me and you and thy seed, etc. The keeping of it is what he's pointing at there in those passages. Just other verses that's using that term, yeah. And then also 18:19.
Right.
For I know him that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of Yahweh, to do justice and judgment, and